Good day everyone. My topic for today is under Chapter 12, East Asia Under Challenge. This is a continuation of the report of Ms. Naris. My topic for today is Section 3, Rise of Modern Japan. I am your discussant, Lorna Jane Ocampo from Social Studies 3B. So let's begin. Voice from the Past. In 1890, Japanese leaders issued a decree to be read to every school child. You are subjects or be filial to your parents. Be affectionate to your brothers and sisters. As husbands and wives, be harmonious. As friends too, bear yourselves in a modest and moderation. Extend your goodness to all. Pursue learning and cultivate arts, and thereby develop intellectual faculties and perfect moral powers. Furthermore, advance public goods and promote common interests. Always respect the Constitution and observe the law should emergency arise. Offer yourselves to the state and thus guard and maintain the prosperity of imperial throne. This picture is the hand-color photography of Japanese children in 1890. Next is an end to isolation. By 1800s, the Tokugawa shogunate had ruled the Japanese islands for 200 years. It had driven out foreign traders and missionaries and isolated the country from virtually all contact with outside the world. The Tokugawa maintained formal relations only with Korea. Informal trading links with Dutch and Chinese merchants continue, and Nagasaki foreign ships which were begin to pull along the Japanese coast, increasing numbers were driven away. To the Western powers, the continued isolation of Japanese society was challenged. Western nations were convinced that the expansion of trade on a global basis would benefit all nations. They now began to approach Japan in the hope of opening it up foreign economic interests. The first foreign powers to succeed with Japan was the United States. In the summer of 1853, an American fleet to force warship under Commodore Matthew Perry arrived in Edo Bay. Now it's a Tokyo Bay. They sought, as Perry said, to bring a singular and isolated people into family and civilized nations. This picture is Matthew Perry, and this second picture is the arrival of Perry in Edo Bay in July 1853. Perry brought with him a letter from President Millard Fillmore, the U.S. President, asked for better treatment of sailors shipwrecked on the Japanese island. He also requested the opening of foreign relations between the United States and Japan. This picture is Millard Fillmore. Next, shogunate officials had been discussing the issue. Shogunate means was the title of the military dictators of Japan. Some argued that contacts with West would hurt Japan. Others pointed to the military superiority of the United States and recommended concession or political compromises. Concession is the act of giving up something or doing something in order to reach agreement. The question ultimately decided by the guns of Commodore Perry. So this is the shogunate. Under military pressure, Japan agreed to the Treaty of Kanagawa. This treaty between Japan and the United States provided from the return of shipwrecked Americans sailors, the opening of two ports to Western traders, and establishment of U.S. consulate in Japan. In 1858, U.S. Consul Townsend Harris signed a more detailed treaty. It called for the opening several new ports to U.S. trades and residents, as well as an exchange of ministers. Similar treaties were soon signed by Japan and several European unions. Next is the resistance to the new order. The decisions to open relations with the Western powers was highly unpopular in parts of Japan. Resistance was especially strong among the samurai warriors in two territories in the south, the Satsuma and Soshu. Both had strong military traditions and neither had been exposed to heavy Western military pressure. In 1863, the Satsu alliance from the Satsuma and Soshu forced the shoguns to promise the end relation with the West. The rebellious groups soon showed their own weakness. However, when Soshu troops fired Western ships in the Strait of Shimonoseki, which led into the Sea of Japan, Westerners fired back and destroyed the Soshu fortification. The incidents convinced the rebellious forces of the need to strengthen their military. They also became more determined not to give into the West. As a result, the Satsu leader urged the shogun to take a stronger position against foreigners. The Satsu leaders demanded that the shogun resign and restore the power of the emperor. In January 1868, their military attacked the shogun's palace in Kyoto and proclaimed the authority of the emperor had been restored. In few weeks, the shogun's force collapsed, ending the shogunate system. This picture is the palace of shogun in Kyoto. Next is the Meiji Restoration. The Satsu leaders had genuinely mistrusted the West, but they soon realized that Japan must be changed to survive. The new leaders embarked on a policy of reform that transformed Japan into a modern industrial nation. The symbol of the new era was the young Emperor Muchihito. He called his reign the Meiji, or the enlightened rule. So this is the Emperor Muchihito. The Meiji ruler was controlled by the Satsu leader, just as early emperor had been controlled by the shogunate. In recognition of the real source of political power, the capital was moved from the Kyoto to Edo, now named Tokyo, the location of the new leaders. The imperial court was moved to the shogun's palace in the center of the city. This picture is the Edo. The next one, transformation of Japanese politics. The new leaders moved first to abolish the old order and strengthen power in their hands, to undercut the power of daimyo. Daimyo means, Japanese word is compounded from dai means large and myo means private land. The local nobles. The new leaders stripped these great lords of the titles to their lands in 1871. As compensation, the lords were given government bonds and were named governors of the territory formerly under their control. The territories were now called prefectures. Prefectures means a district under the government of a prefect, or a prefect office or tenure. The Meiji reform set out to create modern political system based on a Western model. So this is the Japanese prefectures. In 1868, the new leaders signed a charter oath in which they promised to create a new legislative assembly within the framework of continued imperial ruler. The country was divided into 75 prefectures. The number was reduced to 45 in 1889 and remain at that number today. So this is the Japanese prefectures. During the next 20 years, the Meiji government undertook a careful study of Western political system. A commission under Ito Bumi traveled to Great Britain, France, Germany, and the United States to study their government. So this is Hito Hirobumi. As the process involved, two main faction appeared, the liberal and the progressives. The liberal wanted political reform based on Western liberal democratic model, with supreme authority vested in parliament as a representative of the people, while the progressive wanted power to be shared between the legislative and executive branches, within the executive branch having more control. While during 1870s and 1880s, these factions fought for control. In the end of progressive won. The Meiji Constitution, adopted in 1889, was modeled after the Imperial Germany. Most authority was given to the executive branch. In territory, the emperor exercised all executive authority, but in practice, he was a figurehead. Real consecutive authority rested in the hand of prime minister and his cabinet members. These prime minister were handpicked by the Meiji leader. Under the new constitution, the upper house included royal appointments and elected nobles, while the lower house was elected. The two houses were to have equal legislative powers. The final result was a political system that was democratic in form but authoritarian in practice. Although modern in external appearance, it was still traditional because power remained in the hand of ruling oligarchy. Next is Meiji economics. The Meiji leaders also set up a new system of land ownership. A land reform program made the traditional lands of the daimyo into the private property of the peasant. The daimyo and mentioned were compensated with government bonds. The Meiji leader levied a new land tax which was set at an annual rate of 3% of estimated value of the land. The new tax was an excellent source of revenue for the government. However, it was quite burdensome from the farmer. Under the old system, farmers had paid a fixed percentage of their harvest to the landowners. In bad harvest years, they had owned little or nothing. Under the new system, the farmers had to pay the land tax every year, regardless of the quality of the harvest. As a result, in bad years, many peasants were unable to pay their taxes. This forced them to sell their lands to wealthy neighbors and to become tenant farmers who paid the rent to the new owners. By the end of 19th century, about 40% of all farmers were tenants. With its budget needs met by the land tax, the government turned to the promotion of industry. The chief goal of the reform was created as a rich country and a strong state to guarantee Japan's survival against the challenge of Western nation. The Meiji government had subsidies to the needy industries, provided training and foreign advisors, improved transformations and communications, and started a new educational systems that stress applied science. In contrast to China, Japan was able to achieve results with little reliance of foreign money. By 1900s, Japan's industrial sector was beginning to grow. Besides tea and silk, other key industries were weapons, shipbuilding, and the sake, or Japan rice wine. From the start, A unique feature of the Meiji model of industrial development was the close relationship between government and private business. The government encouraged the development of new industries by providing businesses, people with money, and privileged ones an individual enterprise or industry was on its feet. It was turned over entirely to private ownership. Even then, however, the government continued to play some role in the industry's activities. The next one is building a modern social structure. The Meiji reformers also transformed other institutions. A key focus of their attention was the military. The reformers were well aware that Japan would need a modern military force to compensate with Western powers. Their motto was strengthen the army. A new imperial army based on compulsory military service was formed in 1871. All Japanese men now serve for 3 years. The new army was well equipped with modern weapons. Education also changed. The Meiji leaders realized that the need for universal education, including instruction in modern technology. A new Ministry of Education established in 1871 guided the changes. After a few years of experimentation, the Education Ministry adopted the American model of elementary school, secondary school, and universities. It brought foreign specialists to Japan to teach in the new schools. In meantime, it sends white students to study abroad. Much of the content of the new educational system was Western in inspiration. However, a great deal of emphasis was still placed on virtues of loyalty to the family and community. Next is daily life and women's rights. Japanese society in the late Tokugawa era, before the Meiji reform, could be described by two words: community and hierarchy. The lives of all Japanese people were determined by their memberships in family, village, and social class. At the same time, Japanese society was highly hierarchical. Belonging to a particular social class determined a person's occupation and social relationships with others. Women were especially limited by the three obedience: father, child to father, wife to husband, and widow to son, whereas husbands could easily obtain divorce, wives could not. Marriage were arranged, and average marital age of females was 16 years. Females did not share inheritance rights with males. Few received any education outside the family. The Meiji Restoration had marked effect on traditional social systems in Japan. Special privileges from the aristocracy was abolished. For the first time, women were allowed to seek an education. As the economy shifted from an agricultural to an industrial base, thousands of Japanese began to get new jobs and establish new social relationships. Western fashions became the rage in elite circle. The ministers of the first Meiji government were known as the Dancing Cabinet because of their love for Western-style ballroom dancing. The game of baseball was imported from the United States. Young people were increasingly influenced by Western cultures and values. A new generation of modern boys and girls began to eliminate the clothing styles, eating habits, hairstyles, and social practices of Europe and American young people. The social changes brought about by the Meiji Restoration also had a less attractive sides. Many commoners were ruthlessly exploited in the coal mines and textile mills. Workers labored up to 20 hours a day, often under conditions of incredible hardships. coal miners employed on a small lands in harbor of Nagasaki work in temperature up to 130 degrees Fahrenheit, where they tried to escape they were shot. Resistance to such condition was not unknown. In many areas, villagers sought new political rights. In some cases, they demanded increased attention to human rights. A popular right movements in 1870s laid the groundwork of the for the one Japanese first political parties. It campaigned for a government that would be reflect with of the people. The transformation of Japan into a modern society did not detach the country entirely from old values. However, traditional values based on loyalty of the family and community were taught in new school. Traditional values were also given firm legal basis in 1889 Constitution, which limited the right to vote to men. The Civil Code in 1898 laid down individual rights and placed women within the context of their family role. Next, joining the imperialist nation, we have seen that Japanese modeled some of their domestic policies on Western practices. They also copied imperialist Western approach to the foreign affairs. Japan, after all, is small, lacking in resources, and densely populated. There is no natural room for expansion. To some Japanese, the lessons of history were clear. Western nations had amassed wealth and power not only because of democratic, economic, and educational system, but also because of their colonies. Colonies had Western power with sources of raw materials, inexpensive labors, and markets for their manufactured product. To complete, Japan would have also expand.
Beginning of expansion.
Japanese began their program of territorial expansion. Close to home in 1874, Japan claimed control of the Ryukyu Islands, which had long been subject to Chinese Empire. 2 years later, Japan Navy forced and Koreans to open their ports to Japanese trade. The Chinese had long controlled Korea and were concerned by Japan's growing influence there. During 1880s, Chinese-Japanese rivalry over Korea intensified. In 1894, the two nations went to war. Japanese ships destroyed the Chinese fleet and seized the Manchuria city of Port Arthur. So this is the Port Arthur. In the treaty that ended the war, the Manchu rulers of China recognized the independence of Korea. They also ceded Taiwan and the Liaodong Peninsula with its strategic and naval base at the Port Arthur to Japan. Shortly thereafter, the Japanese gave the Liaodong Peninsula back to China. In early 20th century, however, the Japanese returned to the offensive. Rivalry with Russia over influence in Korea had led to increasingly strained relations between Japan and Russia. Russia's thought a little of Japanese and even welcomed possibility of war. One advisor to Nicholas II said, "We will only have to throw our cups at them and they will run away." Next is war with Russia. In 1904, Japan launched a surprise attack on the Russian naval base at Port Arthur, which Russia had taken from China in 1898. When Japanese forces moved into Manchuria and Liaodong Peninsula, Russian troops proved to be no match for them. The Russian commander-in-chief said, "It is impossible not to admire the bravery and activity of the Japanese. The attack of Japanese in a continuous succession of wave, and they never relaxed their effort by day or by night. In the meantime, Russia had sent its Baltic fleet halfway around the world to the East Asia, only to be defeated by the Japanese navy off the coast of Japan. After their defeat, of Russians agreed to humiliating peace in 1905. They gave the Liandong Peninsula back to Japan, as well as the southern part of Sakhalin, an island north of Japan. The Japanese victory stunned the world. Japan had become one of the great powers. Next is the U.S. relation. During the next few years, Japan consolidated its position in northeastern Asia. It established the sphere of influence in Korea. In 1905, the United States recognized Japan's roles in Korea in return for Japanese recognition of American authority in the Philippines. In 1910, Japan annexed Korea outright. Americans began to fear the rise of Japan power in East Asia. In 1907, President Theodore Roosevelt made a great gentleman's agreement with Japan that essentially stopped Japanese immigration to the United States. Lastly, culture in an era of transition. The wave of Western technology and ideas that entered Japan in the last half of the 19th century greatly altered the shape of traditional Japanese culture. Literature was especially affected, thus led by European literature. Japanese authors began translating and imitating imported models. The novel showed the greatest degree of change. People began to write novels that were patterned after the French tradition of realism. Naturalist Japanese authors tried to present existing social conditions and the realities of war as objectively as possible. Other aspects of Japan culture were also changed. The Japanese the Japanese invented technicians, engineers, architects, and artists from Europe and the United States to teach their modern skills to eager Japanese students. The Japanese copied Western artistic techniques and styles. Huge buildings of steels and reinforced concrete adorned with Greek columns appeared in many Japanese cities. A national reaction had begun by the end of 19th century. Many Japanese artists began to return to the older techniques. In 1889, the Tokyo School of Fine Arts was established to promote traditional Japanese arts. Japanese artists searched for a new but truly Japanese means of expression. Some artists tried to bring together native and foreign techniques. Others returned to past artistic traditions for inspiration. Culture exchange also went the other way. Japanese arts and crafts, porcelain, textile, fans, folding screen, and woodblock prints became fashionable in Europe and North America. Japanese art influenced Western painters. Japanese gardens, with their close attention to the positioning of rocks and falling water, became especially popular in the United States. So that would be all. Thank you for listening. Keep safe and God bless.